Hello, all. I have been thinking and decided that a few of you who have actually tuned into this channel and slogged through this material, which I know is, as I've said before, is very dry. Um, you deserve some sort of reward for that. And I've debated whether to put out into a public forum of like YouTube some of the material that I want to put out here. But I've also always felt that karma is the ultimate policewoman, and you never really prevent harm by censoring information. So I don't think a lot of people come to this channel anyway. I'm going to give you some very realistic, very secret, and very good information. And I'm going to do a series of videos on that topic because I think, frankly, if you have an interest in this channel, you're waiting until I perhaps can get some sort of setup where I can have a uke. And I've been trying to work on that. I just haven't really found a situation that makes me feel comfortable inviting people to learn here. Um, that's partially on me and partially on the environment. But in the meantime, continuing as we're doing, I should throw people a bone. So we're going to do a little series on how and what to hit. And I'm going to warn you from the start that what I'm showing you is very dangerous potentially. Be aware of that. The way this works is we start out at the very basic, which is how we developed from an evolutionary standpoint, because that's what we have to work with and change, modify, or just embellish. You are a primate, which, like any biological category, is not necessarily set in stone. It just means that there are certain features that make a particular family such. And Darwin's understanding, along with Lamar's and Aristotle's and everybody else who contributed to categorizing living things, works for us in this case. So we'll proceed with that understanding. Gravity goes down. We evolved to hit down, okay? Because that way we're working with gravity, all right? So the real way we're designed to hit things, if you ever watch apes and gorillas, you will see it's hitting downwards. Subsequently, if you look at how our body developed to protect itself, you will see the results of that. The forehead is the hardest part bone in the body per the amount of bone mass. Okay? You have a depression here that protects your eyes from things coming down. Okay? Your throat is hidden by your jaw line. Okay? Again, so something coming down avoids that. Your plexus has to be accessed usually with a straight or upwards blow. Your groin is protected by your hip assembly. So again, hitting downwards into is not an effective strategy. On the other hand, if you notice when we come up, we're in a totally different situation. You catch the groin fairly easily coming up. The plexus, you want to go more straight, but you can hit it in an upwards movement pretty easily. Your throat can be caught coming up along with the jaw assembly, this area here, where your mandible and maxilla meet, your um, dental areas, and your eyes, okay, are all vulnerable coming up, okay? Not surprisingly, if you look at any sort of trained fighting system, they usually involve a lot of movements that are coming straight or upwards, okay? Even when you're doing something like stabbing, okay, you're generally not in a trained system coming from up here. You're coming in an area where you have a little bit more ability to control that strike and make it less obvious to your opponent. So, not surprisingly, when you deal with all these different systems and styles, they have different points that they claim to access, and if you just use this as a general roadmap, it'll give you a sort of a get out of all the baloney card that comes with the realistic and true study of these different systems. I'm talking about when people talk about vital areas in a way that is very unrealistic. Understand the basis for your vital areas, which is what this first video will be about, and then when we talk about striking them, which will be the second video, it'll make more sense to you, okay? So, concomitant with that understanding, we have to understand more elaborate areas of the body, like pressure points and nerve junctions, things of that nature. Those points are accessible as well, with many caveats, many conditions. So, what you will see in a lot of combat systems is that those points are generally worked in. They're not relied upon exclusively. They are part of a more fundamental approach, usually. All right? Just keep that in mind when we start to look at those. But the first and most fundamental distinction that we want to make is between soft tissue areas, okay, and hard bone areas, both for striking and what we strike on the body, okay? These go by many names. You see arts like a lot of the Polynesian indigenous arts use a lot of flesh grabbing and flesh tearing, okay? In the Japanese arts, this is often represented by something called Shito-ryu or Koshi-jitsu, most notable in the Bujinkan with the Gyoko-ryu, okay? Soft targets, fleshy targets, okay? The other counterpart to that is bone targets, okay? Koppo-jitsu, okay? Striking bone targets, and those are targets that are hard. Now, what is the difference, okay? If you look at your body, there are areas that have flesh and depressions on them. So, for example, this whole area, okay, you have soft tissue with your throat. You also have body cavities, often called body depressions, okay, that are accessible, okay? Those are soft targets. They have certain things that work against them when they're done properly, okay? Part of that is obvious when you look at a depression like this as opposed to your clavicle, right? Strike to the clavicle would be a koppo strike, a bone-breaking strike. Shito-jitsu, using the fingertips, the thumb, whatever, to attack this area would be obviously a soft tissue area. However, when you really get into this stuff, you have areas of skin that have more nerves than others and become much more vulnerable areas if you know where they are, okay? Which we will discuss, and I will throw you that bone. Just for now, before we go into the second video, understand that what this video is about is the fundamental distinction between both omote and ura, okay? That which is obvious in front of us, that which is hidden from us, which is not so obvious. Thank you, Hatsumi Sensei for that distinction. It's a very nice one, and it helps us. And here's the point of that distinction: it involves how you attack, it involves what you attack, both reliant upon understanding the difference between flesh targets, soft tissue, and bone targets. And in my understanding, which I'm sharing with you, body cavities qualify as soft tissue targets. Okay, we'll go on to the second now.